So now to our first showcase, we're going to take a look at climate action in language education. And to take us through that, let me bring in Colm Downs, who joins us now from Indonesia, and Hala Ahmed, who joins us from Egypt. Colm and Hala, welcome. Please do take us through the work that you and the team have been up to.
Okay, well, good morning to you in London. Thank you very much. I'm in Jakarta. I'm sorry I can't be with you in person, but I'm delighted to be with you online. The Climate Connection Programme is a global programme which cuts across everything the British Council does, across arts and culture, education, our schools work, our higher education work, and English. And I'm very lucky to be leading our English strand, which we have called Climate Action in Language Education. Before we share details about our specific current and future initiatives, I'd like to take a step back and provide a little bit of overall context to our work. Ultimately, what this is all about, it's about tackling climate change. And as our host this morning said this morning, everybody has a role to play in this battle to limit emissions to 2 degrees, ideally 1.5 degrees this century. This brings me on to climate change education. Effective climate change education, or CCE, is regularly cited as absolutely critical in the effort to tackle climate change. And CCE is what climate action in language education is all about. By now, you've probably all heard of the United Nations Sustainable Development Goal, SDG 13, climate action, and perhaps the Paris Agreement. The UN Sustainable Development Goal 13, climate action, calls upon all countries to integrate climate change education throughout education systems, to mainstream it in national education policies across the curricula and assessment, not just in science, but all subjects. And this includes language teaching. Similarly, the Paris Agreement is a legally binding international treaty on climate change, which was adopted by 196 countries at COP21 in 2015. This includes a commitment to enhance climate change education. But on the whole, around the world, this still isn't really happening. There are schools in several countries have started educating students on climate change. However, there are 2 big problems. They're still very much a minority, so the majority are not doing anything. And secondly, those that are don't necessarily have much support or much training in order to make sure that their lessons are effective and engaging. And English teachers out there might well say, well, that's all very well and good, but why me? I'm just an English teacher. And my response to that is to say, well, first of all, preparing our learners for the future is what teachers do. That's what we do. And all teachers, including English teachers, we talk about 21st century skills being vitally important, like creativity, collaboration, critical thinking. But I argue that this must now include climate change education. Young people are going to have to navigate a world deeply impacted by climate change. And so they need to learn about that, not just the science of it, but the social and economic consequences. We need to equip learners with the language skills they need to understand, discuss, and critically engage with climate change issues and promote solutions to local and global environmental problems. I think a slide is going to be shared now. I would like to end this opening section with a quote from Rosalind Appleby, taken from an essay of hers in our British Council publication, English Across the Fracture Lines. Rosalind wrote, "All those involved in English language education need to consider how we might contribute to building a safer and more sustainable world, and how English language students, wherever they may be, might be encouraged to analyse, understand, and act on environmental problems." Now, I'm delighted to hand over to my colleague Hala in Egypt. Hala is going to tell you more about the action we have taken over the last year, specifically our different initiatives to support English teachers as part of climate action in language education.
Thanks a lot, Colm, and greetings everyone from the banks of the Nile in Cairo, Egypt. My name is Hala Ahmed. I'm head of English for Education Systems at the British Council. So, what action have we taken? I'm going to tell you now about our climate action in language education initiatives. Since April, over 100,000 English teachers and students have directly engaged with these resources and initiatives from over 120 countries around the world. So let's get started. Our Climate Action in Language Education Global Research Report. We wanted to identify and share examples of best practice. We wanted to highlight organizations and individuals already doing inspiring work. We also wanted to hear from teachers and young people around the world to get their views on climate change in English language teaching. Our researchers carried out some very large-scale global surveys, and I would like to share with you now some key findings. We surveyed over 2,500 teenagers, and as you can see, young people are very engaged, and the majority told us that they would like more climate-related lessons at school, including in their English lessons. Now, moving on to English teachers, it's great that the vast majority of teachers believe they have a significant role to play in climate change, and actually in climate change education, and actually 87% of them thought so. It's also great that 80% of teachers are keen to receive more professional development in this area. However, as you can see, at the moment, 67% of teachers said they are not receiving any training from their schools in how to integrate climate change content into their teaching practice. So there is clearly a need for us to do more in this area. Now, what about our podcast series? Our podcast series is called The Climate Connection, as you can see from the slide, and it is a 10-part podcast series which explores the relationship between the climate crisis and language education. We hear from a wide range of leading practitioners working in the sector, teachers, trainers, researchers, publishers, and authors. Also, in partnership with the Oxford English Dictionary, we learn more about the origins of climate-related language in both English and other languages. And here is the trailer.
Climate Connection.
I think it's Nelson Mandela who said education is the most powerful weapon which you can use to change the world.
La conexión climática.
There's a large group of people who are often left out of the climate conversation. There's so much that we can be learning from indigenous communities around the world, for example, who, despite contributing the least to climate change, are facing some of the worst effects.
We ran a project called BYOP, Bring Your Own Plant. Unbelievable results. We were getting, ADHD cut by 3/4. Turns out it wasn't the kid that had the attention deficit. It was the environment was deficiting their attention,
The Climate Connection. Climate Action in Language Education. A new 10-part podcast series from the British Council. Available wherever you get your podcasts.
Collect, reuse, save our planet.
The Climate Connection.
So let's have a look at who has been listening to our podcast. As you can see from the map, we are delighted that our podcast series has been downloaded over 20,000 times in 142 countries around the world. So that's our podcast series. So thirdly, let me tell you a little bit about our MOOC. The Climate Action in Language Education MOOC is designed to train English language teachers how to integrate environmental issues into English language teaching. The MOOC actually consists of 3 modules. We are delighted that the MOOC has already been completed by 6,000 teachers from around the world. You can see now on the screen a quote from Tania Sen, a teacher from Kolkata in India, who did the MOOC last year. 6,000 teachers is great, but we are keen to reach more, many more. It's completely free, and we will run the MOOC again this year. We're planning to run the MOOC during COP27, which will be hosted this year in November here in Egypt. Finally, let me tell you about our free lesson plans. They are an ideal starting point to help to address issues of sustainability in the classroom. Whilst all 12 lesson plans are available now on our Teaching English website, we are currently editing these into a single PDF resource pack, specifically designed for use by teachers in low-resource classrooms, those who might be facing the difficulty downloading from the internet. Thank you very much. It has been lovely talking to you today from our office in Cairo. Now let me hand back over to Colm in Jakarta, Indonesia. Colm is going to tell you more about our lesson plans and climate action school video competition. Thank you, and over back to you, Colm.
Thank you very much, Hala. I've just got one more initiative to tell you all about. I wanted to tell you about our climate action school video competition. So last year, working together with our schools team at the British Council, in September, we launched a competition inviting schools to make a short video about climate action projects that their students were carrying out. And we had over 200 entries to the competition and 10 winners. And there were different prizes for the teachers and the students who won. But one of the things that we wanted to do was to try to get those videos shown in as many schools around the world as possible. And so working together with the Digital Language Associates, we've created some teacher packs and student packs to go along with these videos so that they can be used in English language lessons around the world. And we're going to finish our showcase today by showing you an exclusive compilation of the 10 winners from that competition. So we're going to play that video now. Thank you.
Hi, I'm Shivani. Like you, I'm really concerned about the problems of climate change. But lots of schools have special projects to help the environment. The British Council asks schools to make videos about what they're doing to tackle climate change. The 10 best videos show some fantastic things going on. Let's take a look. First, let's go to the Philippines.
It is something that we all are familiar with, but most of us think of climate change as a joke. I tell you, it's not. It's real. And day by day, it's getting worse.
Yes, it's real, and we can all help. In this school in Ukraine, they recycle lots of things.
Look, we always put the litter into the bins. Besides, we sort it. We put paper waste here and plastic bottles into this bin.
In Nigeria, the students' film shows how they reuse waste. They are making waste bins with plastic water bottles. And in Ethiopia, Howie and her friends reuse plastic bottles to help grow plants. This helps the environment.
We started to change a plastic rubbish into vegetable pots.
In Northern Ireland, this school made a photo report. They're planting flowers and trees to help the environment.
Here you can see some of our junior school pupils planting flowers within our school grounds.
In Indonesia, students are planting mangrove trees near their school. Trees help create shade and lower temperatures. They reduce soil erosion and release water vapor. At another school in Indonesia, they have lots of different plants and trees. Planting helps to increase biodiversity in the local area. Biodiversity is the number of plants, animals, and microorganisms which help to support life. It also helps us to cancel out or offset our carbon emissions. This helps reduce climate change. In Kenya, the students made a video about their project, planting and caring for the land around the school. In India, this school project helps trees and the environment in a different way. They have collected old newspapers and recycled them.
We all read newspapers and we know the creation of papers is done by cutting trees. When we collect the old newspaper and recycle them, it takes 70% less energy and water to recycle paper than to create newspaper. In our school, I collected 24,000 kgs of old newspaper to contribute our part to stop the changes in climatic conditions.
And in Lebanon, the students made a video to show how they changed their school. They planted lots of plants and flowers all around the school.
Plants like me are very important to tackle the climate change. Do you know that the greenhouse effect is a natural process that warms the Earth's surface? And the sun's energy is absorbed by the atmosphere and the surface of the Earth, leading to their warmth.
What brilliant videos! And what fantastic ideas to help reduce climate change. I'm going to recycle plastic bottles and plant herbs in them, just like they did in Ethiopia. What will you do? And to end the show, this is my favourite piece from Ukraine.
We are